Good day everyone. In this video, we are going to discuss parametric equations as well as parametric differentiation. So we will start first with parametric equation. Actually, parametric equation should be part of your algebra subject. But what is parametric equation? Basically, parametric equation is just type of equation that employs an independent variable called the parameter. And that parameter is oftenly denoted by letter t, or it's a function of time, in which dependent variables are defined as continuous function of the parameter and are not dependent on other existing variable. So for our parametric equation, we will usually have our let me have my pen. So what we're going to have is our parameter t. Then we have two dependent variables, which are x and y. Take note that in this topic, x is not an independent variable and y is a dependent variable, but y does not depends with x, because these two dependent variables depends on our independent variable t, which is the parameter. I hope na nasundan yun. So x will have its value depending on the value of t as well as y. At itong dalawa na to is walang direct relationship or walang dependency on one another. Pero magkakaroon sila ng relationship since related sila dito sa t, pero hindi sila dependent on one another. So taken together, the parametric equation and the graph are called plane curve, denoted by C. So after plotting our the graph of our function that is parametrically defined, yung x and y natin ay pwede tayo makapag-create ng equation that will relate one another. But since hindi sila dependent on one another, pwedeng interchangeably maging dependent variable si y and maging independent naman si x, or vice versa. So, ano ba yung example ng parametric equation natin? One parametric equation that we are very familiar with is itong isang kinematic equations for projectile motion. So, itong ating nakikitang equations na to, 5 equations, is yung equation nga ng projectile motion na napag-aralan natin sa physics. Dito lang tayo mag-focus muna sa box ng kulay black. We have here our x as well as y, and yung x and y na to is defined or dependent sa t, which is yung time, kung saan matakbo yung projectile. At yung x and y is the location of our projectile for the given time. Meron ditong x sub naught, but basically x sub naught and y sub naught is just the the initial position ng projectile. So kung this is a given quantity, but usually this is taken as 0 if we will start our projected on our origin. Then v x sub naught is just the initial velocity. Then ganun din yung vy sub naught is also a initial velocity. Then 1/2 here is a constant, and g is the gravitational acceleration, which is 9.81 or 32 feet per second squared kapag English unit. At mapapansin natin nga, as mentioned, that this x and y, which is the location of our projectile, is dependent sa time. And yung time is our parameter na inatawag. Yung t is the parameter that will dictate the value of our x and y. So for our next slide, we will try to solve or plot this a problem that follows the projectile motion. So this will be our problem. Consider the path following an object that is propelled into the air, and the angle of at an angle of 45 degrees for an initial velocity of 48 feet per second. The object travels the parabolic path given by kinematic equation. So as mentioned, yung magiging movement nito follows the kinematic equation. So we will make use of the kinematic equations that were given earlier. Take note lang natin yung given sa problem. We have the initial velocity, which is 48 feet per second. Then the angle of inclination in which the object is being propelled, that is with reference to the horizontal, that is 45 degrees. Then since this is in English units, we will have RG equal to 32 feet per second squared. Then ano pa ba? Bali yung x sub naught natin is 0, as well yung y sub naught. So this will be the kinematic equation that we're going to use since we are going to plot the path of the object. Let's start with the x locations natin. So x is equal to x sub naught plus vx sub naught times time. That will be our equation since following the kinematic equation. So therefore, we will substitute our values so that we can compute for our x location for various time. So substituting x sub naught equal to 0, then in order to convert v sub o into its component or x component, we must multiply it with cosine 45 para makuha natin yung x component yan. So that's 48 cosine 45 degrees times time. So simplifying that, 48 cosine 45 is equal to 24 square root of 2 times t, which will give us the x location. So since that will be our x location, so this is the parametric equation for our x. But kailangan pa natin ng second, which is depending naman sa y. So this will be our working equation. Y sub naught is 0. Then y sub naught is 48 times sine 45. Pero kung cosine yan, okay lang kasi equal naman sila sa one another. Sine 45 and cosine 45 is equal lang. Then minus 1 over 2 times, since this is going upwards, so positive 32 yung gagamitin natin. So simplifying this one, we will have our parametric equation for y, which is y is equal to 24 square root of 2 t minus 16t squared. So take note natin itong dalawang parametric equation na na-construct natin derived from the kinematic equation. So ano bang purpose nitong dalawa? So we will select or identify several values of time, and then later on mako-compute natin si x and y. So bawat time meron tayong x location as well y location, and pag nakuha natin yung several values of x and y, we can plot that in our Cartesian coordinate plane for us to determine the path that is followed by the object. So we will make use of this table. So select lang tayo ng time. Bali, ito yung feasible domain na pwede natin gamitin since time is always positive. Let's start with 0. Then we may end sa 2 dahil later on marirealize natin bakit hanggang 2 lang or pwedeng may konting sobra. Pero kung kasi ganito yung ating y dyan after 2 will be negative. So since negative, parang lumubog na yung object natin. So hindi naman natin naasahan na ganun do sa problem. Kaya limited lang tayo dito. So kung ayaw nyo itong manumanuhin, pwede natin gamitin yung calculator para makuha itong itong values na to sa table function. Kung yung lumang calculator, x lang yung makukuha doon. Pero kapag yung mga bago na calculators that capable na mag-compute both x and y, which is ready for parametric equation, much better. Pero kung isa lang naman, so let's start with solving for x, then after nun, palitan yung ating working equation with the y and isolve natin yung values ng y for different values of t. Pwede naman. Tsaga-tsaga lang ng pag-solve. Pero kung walang calculator that is capable to solve for x and y in tabular form, kailangan natin siyang manually isolve lahat. Sa pag-solve naman, just evaluate each function. So, kung isosolve natin, ito yung makukuha nating values of x and y. So, if our time is 0, our x would be 0, as well as y is equal to 0. Pag nakuha natin lahat ng to, we may plot this x and y. So, this will be our Cartesian coordinate plane, this will be our y, this will be our x. Parang yung x, yung t kasi dito is third dimension, which is the dimension of time. Hindi natin siya makikita doon sa pagkakaplat, pero it will dictate how our object moves. So, since if time is 0, our x is 0, then our y is also 0. So, this is 0.25, 0.5. Kaya ba to dito? Hindi wari kaya. So, mali pala. Hindi pala dapat yung t ang nalagay ko dito kasi this should be the x part. So, erase ko lang. Mali kasi tayo. Sorry agad. So, 9 to. 9 na lang. Let's say that this is 9. Kasi, bakit 9? So basta 9 yung magandang gamitin. 9 ba? Or 8? Nalito tuloy ako. So, 9. Then, this is 18. Para maganda ay 8. This is saglit daw, 8 plus 8. Pag 9, sige, kahit alin naman. So, 9 na lang. Sige. 8, then this is 27. Tama ba yun? Then this is 36. Then 45. 54. Diba nag-calculator? 63. Then 72. Pero pwedeng 8. Depende naman sa inyo yan. Then let's have this as 9. Then let's have this as 18. So 0, 0 is located here. Then 8.49. So approximate lang natin. Ano to? So 3, 6, 12, 15. So 8.49, 7.49. So somewhere here na lang. Then next, 16.97. Nasaan na siya? Nandito somehow. Then 12. Ang hirap naman. Then next is 25. Pangit na nito. 25, then 16. Then next is 33. Di ba ang pangit? Then 17. Then 42. Then 17 something ulit. The next is 50.9. 51 na yun. Then 15. So almost here. Then, after nyan, ano pa? 59 sa mga 60. Tapos 10. Somewhere here. Then, last is 67,3. Tapos, kung may kasunod pa yan, madiretso yan dito. So, after plotting our points, that is our X and Y, connect natin sila. Try natin i-connect na maganda. So, ito yung magiging itsura niya. Kunwari, nagtama yung daan natin, Pero, basically, dapat parabola kasi itsura niyan. So, yan. Kunwari, tama, yung pagkakadaan natin. So, ito yung path na na-follow nung ating X and Y for a given time. Then, lagyan lang natin ng arrow, para ma-determine na yun yung movement ng time. Kasi baka akalain is pwedeng pabaliktad yung movement. Kasi yung arrow na yan will signify na meron tayong ina-consider na time that's started from 0 papunta dito. Sa 2. Pero hindi natin siya makikita since third dimension siya. So, this will be the graph of our function. And since na-plot natin siya in Cartesian coordinate plane, we can now relate X and Y. But since hindi nga siya dependent on one another, pwede interchangeably ma-express natin siya. But basically, Y is equal to negative X squared over 72 plus X. Bakit ganyan yung na-form natin na equation? Bakit naka-X squared? Kasi basically, yung na-form natin is a parabolic path. Because our projectile motion or a projectile follows a parabolic path, kaya ganyan yan. So, hopefully, nasundan yung discussion natin na to. So, yung parametric equation pala, makukuha lang natin yung various values ng X and Y. And later on, we can convert this parametric equation into rectangular form katulad nitong bagay na to. Ito. Pero paano kaya tayo nag-arrive dito sa equation na to? So, in the succeeding videos, we will know how are we going to convert a parametric equation into a rectangular equation. So, we will end our video here. Then, this video, then I'll create another video and I'll just stitch it para dun sa para ma-compile natin. So, thank you very much for watching this part of our video. Okay, for this video, we're going to sketch the graph or curve described by the parametric equation. So, x is equal to t squared minus 4 and y is equal to t over 2, where rt starts from 2 that will end with 3. So, in order to solve this one, kailangan natin makakuha ng ordered pairs or makuha natin value of x as well as ng y for various value of t. So, we will have this table. So, select tayo ng value of t starting from negative 2 kasama si negative 2 since this is less than or equal. Then, magkaroon tayo ng increment na 1. So, we'll have 1, negative 1, 0, 1, 2, and we will end with 3. So, kung may calculator, kindly compute for x and y using your calculator and compare it with our answer. So, if t is negative 2, so our x would be equal to 0. While our y naman is negative 1. If t is negative 1, our x is equal to 3. Then our y would be equal to negative 1/2. Then after that, if t is 0, x I equal to 4, then our y is 0. If t is equal to 1 rather, x I 3, then y is 1/2. Then t is 2, x would be 0, then y is 1, Then if t is 3, then x will be 5. Then y is equal to 3 over 2. So with this, sets or values of x and y corresponding to our t, we will plot this in our coordinate plane. So let's have this as -4 or 2 na lang. -2, then -1, then let's call this as 1, 2, 3, then 4. How about this one? Kaya ba siya? This is ano ba to? Para mapagkasya lang natin. Ano yung pinakamalayo na x? -4. So hanggang dito yan malabas. So this is -1, -2, -3, then -4. Then dito naman ay hanggang 5 tayo. So okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So kuha lang tayo ng ibang kulay ng pen. Let's have blue. So plot natin. If t is -2, it is located x na 0, then match natin dito. So this is if t is -2. If t is -1, our x would be -3, then 1/2. So dito natin siya appoint. This is if t is equal to -1. If t is equal to 0, our x is 4, then y is 0. So located here. T is equal to 0. If t is 1, our x is -3, then our y is 1/2. So located here. T is equal to 1. If t is 2, x is 0, then 1 naman yung y natin. T is 2. Then if t is 3, our x ay 5, located here. Then our y is 3/2 or 1.5. This is t is equal to 3. Then connect lang natin yung points na yan for us to sketch the graph. So starting from here, dapat yung pagkakatrace natin nagsimula dun sa initial time. So starting from there, then maakyat tayo dito, paparito, then paparayan. Para ma-trace lang natin yung movement nung ating point for given time. So lagyan natin ng arrow in order to provide the direction. Kasi kung pabaliktad yan, that will tell us na dito yung t is equal to -2, which is wrong. Kasi dito tayo nag-start paparito sa part na to. So t is equal to 3 located here. So that is how we are going to graph our function. But if we are going to test this using the vertical line test, what we could see is that merong points na nag-touch ng dalawa dun sa vertical line natin. So since this is parametric equation and this is a graph of a plane curve, hindi kasi tayo pwedeng malimit lang nung function, anong definition ng function natin. Kasi mas detailed yung napoprovide nitong graph of parametric equation natin. No, kasi it gives us an idea on how two different sets of independent variable move with our time. Okay, it's okay lang na mag-touch ng dalawa sa vertical line test natin kasi it's not about a function that we are talking about, but it is about the sketch of our plane curves that will give us a more in-depth description nung paggalaw ng dalawang dependent variable relative to time. Okay, our next topic would be eliminating the parameters. So, if you're going to find the rectangular equation that represents the graph of a set of parametric equation, that process is called eliminating the parameter, wherein the parameter t will no longer be seen in our equation, since our equation will be in terms of x and y only. However, in order to create that rectangular equation, we will make use of our given parametric equations. We're just going to convert it into its other form. We're in terms of the rectangular one. So for instance, you can eliminate the parameter from the set of parametric equation using this step. So we'll have an example problem para ma-visualize natin how are we going to convert a parametric equation into its rectangular form. So we'll start with our parametric equation, then next solve for t in one equation, then substitute into the second equation, and that will be the resulting rectangular equation. So our given parametric equation is this one. Y is equal to t squared minus 4. X is equal to t squared minus 4, while our y is equal to t over 2. So select lang muna tayo between these two. Kung alin yung one equation na gagamitin natin in order to convert the other equation into the rectangular one. So if we're going to solve or if we're going to select this one, so select natin to and use this to solve for t in one equation. So y is equal to t over 2 will be transformed into t is equal to 2 over y. Paano siya nangyari? Y is equal to t over 2, simply that's cross multiplication. So t is equal to 2 y. Since na-utilize na natin itong equation na to, substitute natin yung t into x is equal to t squared minus 4. So plug in lang natin yan dyan. So x is equal to t squared minus 4. Plug in si value ng t, which is 2y. We will have x is equal to 2y raised to the power of 2 minus 4. Simplifying that, we will have our rectangular equation that is in this form. X is equal to 4y squared minus 4. Ano ba? Take note, since x and y is not independent with one another, hindi siya nakadepend pala doon sa isa't isa. Ibig sabihin, pwede rin natin itong i-rewrite in other form. So, paano naman yon? Pwede natin ito convert using yung concept sa implicit differentiation. Pero, let's just have it in this way. If ang select naman natin is this one, para gamitin dito sa second process, so, rewrite natin si x t squared minus 4 in such a way that we are solving for t. So, paano siya mangyayari? That will become this one. T is equal to square root of x plus 4. Nilipat si 4 dito, naging plus siya, then get the square root of both sides. So, we will have this. Then, after that, since ginamit na natin itong x equation, yung y equation naman, ang gagamitin natin. At yung t sa y equation should be replaced with this one. Ipapasok natin siya dito. So, what we're going to have is this. Y is equal to square root of x plus 4 over 2. And these two are the possible rectangular form of our parametric equation. Kahit alin dyan sa dalawa, ibig sabihin lang nila ay iisa. So, parehas lang yan. Kasi if dito tayo nagsimula, ito, we can convert this equation into this form by just rewriting it. Magkakaroon tayo ng x, lipat si 4, plus 4, equals of 4y squared, divide both sides by 4, Then get the square root of both sides. So, square root of x plus 4 over square root of 4 is 2. And yan. Nakuha din lang natin yung another na isura nung ating converted parametric equation into its rectangular equation. So, it's just a matter of substitution in order to convert a parametric equation into its rectangular form. So, that's all for this video. I guess meron pa tayong next video para naman dun sa example problem ulit for this concept. Okay, for this video, we're going to sketch the curve represented by the parametric equations x is equal to 3 cosine theta and y is equal to 4 sine theta from the interval 0 to 2 pi. And after that, we're going to eliminate the parameter and find the corresponding rectangular equation. So, for this problem, kailangan lang natin munang masolve yung values ng x and y that is related to the parameter theta. Bali, hindi man t yung ating parameter na gagamitin. Bali, angle naman yung parameter na meron tayo. So, it will be handy to get the values of x and y using our calculator. So, sulat lang natin, this would be 3, then y is 0, then 2.6, ni-round ko na lang, then 2, 1.5, then 3.5, 0 and 4, wait lang so this is negative 1.5, then 3.5, 2.6, negative 2.6 pala, 2, then negative 3 and 0, negative 2.6 and negative 2, 240, negative 1.5 and negative 3.46 or 45. Then 0 and 4, 1.5 and negative 3.45, 2.6 and 2, then lastly 3 and 0. Bali, pag tinay pala sa calculator, pwedeng naka-degrees lang tayo kasi wala namang theta that is outside trigonometric function. Kaya pwedeng naka-degrees lang yung calculator natin. So, after getting the sets of x and y, we can now plot it in our rectangular coordinate plane, and this will be the image or the graph of our function. So, take note lang tayo that this is our 3, 0. Then, as our theta increases, it rotates counter clockwise. I-follow natin yung movement na yon. Kasi from angle theta, what we have is 2.6, 2. 2.6, so somewhere here. Then we have 490, 0.4 located here. For tawag dito, pi or 180, that's negative 3, 0. And for 270, that's 0, negative 4 dapat to. Then mabalik dito. So ano kaya yung itsura ng graph ng function? So kung iisipin natin, this is in ellipse form. So nasa form siya ng ellipse. At ano kaya yung formula ng ellipse? Ano yung itsura ng rectangular equation ng ellipse? So nandito siya sa form na x over x squared over a squared ba yan? Parang ganun. So, y squared over b squared is equal to 1. So, kung magkakaroon man tayo ng rectangular equation, dapat somehow ganito yung magiging itsura niya. So, since ang next goal natin is to create or construct our rectangular equation by eliminating the parameter, dapat ganito yung magiging itsura ng equation natin. So, how are we going to construct that rectangular equation? So, pwedeng sundin natin yung step na sinabi earlier, but since this is trigonometric function, we will have a different approach. So, papaano yan? So, dapat ka na dito sa form na to, tingnan natin. So, parang ganito siya, no? X squared, x over a squared. Kasi kung alabas natin yung squared dyan, ganito yung magiging itsura niya. Then, y over b raised to 2 is equal to 1. So, ano kayang kamukha nito? So, ito is medyo kamukha sa Pythagorean identity, which is cosine squared theta plus sine squared theta is equal to 1. And that can be related dito sa ating parametric equation. So what we have is x is equal to 3 cosine theta and y is equal to 4 sine theta. So if we will look into this, di ba may cosine tayo na naka-squared, and dapat ito ay x over a. So x is equal to 3 cosine theta. Then, isolate lang natin si cosine kasi somehow dapat ganyan yung mag-itsura na nahanap natin. So, that will give us x over 3 is equal to cosine theta. And yung x matches this one, and we have a na 3. Meanwhile, sa sine naman, we will have y ay equals to 4 sine theta. Divide both sides by 4. We will have y over 4, or y over 4 is equal to sine theta. Since cosine theta dito, replace lang natin siya with x over 3. That will give us x over 3 squared plus y over 4 squared is equal to 1. Then distributing the square here, we will have x squared over 3 squared plus y squared over 4 squared equal to 1, or that could be simplified further as x squared over 9 plus y squared over 16 is equal to 1. So this equation is an equation of an ellipse, which is the rectangular equation that we are looking for. And take note that for this equation, we no longer have the parameter theta. So we are successful in eliminating the parameter. Bali, gataka kayo somehow kung bakit natin naisip na dapat maging ganito yung equation niya at gumamit nitong Pythagorean identity na to. So, graphing our curve will give us an idea on what would our rectangular equation look like. So, ano magiging itsura niya. So, since meron tayo dito na form na ellipse, so most likely, the equation that we are looking for is in the form of the equation of an ellipse. Just like do sa kanina, since ang naging itsura niya is parabola, so yung ating equation should be a quadratic equation that describes the parabola. Dun natin makukuha yung intuitive guess or educational guess kung ano yung rectangular equation na dapat na ma-form natin. That is especially if hindi man applicable yung steps na na-mention ko dun sa slide na nauna. Considering that this contains a trigonometric functions. Okay? Bali for this problem, baliktad naman yung gagawin natin. Kung kanina, we created our rectangular equation out of our parametric equation. This time, we are going to look for the parametric equation given our rectangular equation and using a certain condition. So, our rectangular equation that is given to us is y is equal to 1 minus x squared. And we are going to use this parameter that t is equal to x. since t is equal to x, we can convert that or say that x is equal to t. So x is equal to t is one of the parametric equations that we are looking for. This is the parametric equation of x in terms of t. So ang unknown na lang or ang nahanap pa natin is the parametric equation for y that is also in terms of t. So how are we going to get that parametric equation in terms of y? So pabaliktad lang natin kukuhain. Since we know that x is equal to t, so just substitute this or replace x with t. So y equals 1 minus x squared will become y is equal to 1 minus t squared, or y is equal to 1 minus t squared. So with that, we have our parametric equations. X is equal to t and y is equal to 1 minus t squared. Nasundan ba yun? Di ba napakadali lang? Pabaliktad lang natin na i-express yung ating rectangular equation into its parametric form. So may pangalawa pa tayo. So our second is that our parameter would be m, and m, knowing that m is a slope, so m should be equal to dy over dx. This should be dx. But what is dy over dx? We know that dy over dx is the derivative of our function. So our function is y is equal to 1 minus x squared. So let's just get the derivative of that. So that will be dy over dx. So the derivative of 1 with respect to x is 0. The derivative of negative x squared with respect to x would be equal to negative 2x, or simply that will be dy over dx is equal to negative 2. And since dy over dx is equal to the slope, so slope is equal to negative 2x. And the parameter here that we're talking about is the slope. So we can create our first parametric equation for x in terms of our parameter m as this one. Ano gawin natin? So divide both sides by negative 2. So sulat na lang na m is equal to negative 2 over x. Dividing both sides by negative 2. So that will give us x is equal to m over negative 2. Or that will be negative m over 2. And this is our first parametric equation. The parametric equation for x in terms of m. So how are we going to get the second parametric equation? That is for y. So knowing that our rectangular equation is y is equal to 1 minus x squared, and the goal here is to eliminate x. And to eliminate x, we will replace x of its value that is in terms of m. So we will have 1 minus negative m over 2 squared. Simplifying that, we will have 1 minus negative m squared will give us m squared over 2 squared is 4. So we're going to have our parametric equation in terms of y. Now 1 minus m squared over 4, and the other parametric equation that we got earlier is x is equal to negative m over 2. So our parametric equation in terms of m, the parameter m, is x is equal to negative m over 2 and y is equal to 1 minus m squared over 4. So that will be the that is how are we going to change our rectangular equation back to its parametric form. Okay, now that we know already what is parametric equation, we will move on with the calculus part, which is the parametric differentiation. So we will differentiate parametric equations here. So If a smooth curve C is given by the parametric equations x is equal to f of t and y is equal to g of t, then if we're going to get the slope of that smooth curve C at x, comma y, so dy over dx, or the derivative of our parametric equation, is simply equal to dy over dt over dx over dt. Now, given that the dx over dt should not be equal to 0. So, itong upper portion is just the derivative of our y with respect to time, and the lower portion is the derivative of our parametric equation of x with respect to time. So, bakit naging ganito yung derivative niya? Kung isipin lang natin, that will be dy over dt. So, divided by dx over dt, dividing fraction, we will have dt over dx. So, pwede itong i-cancel since parehas naman sa derivative. So, that will be dy over dx. Pero, bawal itong i-cancel pag dy over dx times x. So, ito bawal siya i-cancel kasi hindi naman derivative yung itong x part na ba. So, let's just apply this concept in order to get the derivative of our parametric equation. So, we're going to find dy over dx for the curve given by sine x. X is equal to sine t and y is equal to cosine t. So, our dy over dx, take note, is obtained by getting dy over dt over dx over dt. So, kailangan natin itong makuha. Then, kailangan din natin makuha si dx over dt. So, what is dy over dt natin? So, getting the derivative of y with respect to t, that is d over dt of cosine of t. So, differentiate natin cosine of t with respect to time as simply, that will be equal to negative cosine of t. So, that will be our dy over dt. So, after nyan, let's have naman dx over dt. That is simply d over dx of sine of t. And what is the derivative of sine t with respect to t? That is simply equal to, this should be negative sine t. This one is equal to cosine t. I'm so sorry for that. So, after getting this one, substitute lang natin. We will have negative sine t over cosine t. So, this could be an answer already, but since we are good in trigonometric identity, we know that sine t over cosine t is equal to tangent t. So, minus tangent t. So, our answer is dy over dt is equal to negative tangent of t. Pwede namang hindi nakahiwalay na ganito, pwedeng diretso dito, bali equal agad siya sa d over dt cosine of t over d over dt of sine t. And this one is negative sine t over cosine t, or simply that will be negative tangent t. This will work. Pwede naman breakdown muna then substitute. I hope you can follow that. So let's have another sample problem in a few minutes. Okay, for this video, we're going to get the slope of the curve of our parametric equations x is equal to e raised to negative t cosine 2t times and y is equal to e raised to negative 2t times sine 2t. At t is equal to 0. So, since we are going to find the slope of the curve, and the slope of the curve is defined by dy over dx. And dy over dx of our parametric equation is dy over dt over dx over dt, then evaluated that sa time is equal to 0. So, how are we going to perform that? So, start with dy over dt. So let's get the derivative of y. So that's d over dt of e raised to negative 2t sine 2t. And we can obtain the derivative of our y by applying product rule. Ano so? To apply product rule, first we're going to copy e raised to negative 2t, then get the derivative of sine 2t. The derivative of sine 2t is simply cosine 2t, then multiply it with the derivative of 2t, which is simply 2. Then add natin, copy si sine 2t, then perform the derivative of our e raised to negative 2t. So the derivative of e raised to 2t is simply e raised to 2t, then multiply it with the derivative of the exponent, which is negative 2. So simplify lang natin, this will become 2 e raised to negative 2t cosine 2t times 2 plus sine 2t times e raised to negative 2t. Then yung negative 2 pala dito na sa una. So this will be our dy over dt. How about for our dx over dt? So for our dx over dt, same process lang. That is d over dt of yung x, e raised to negative t cosine 2t. Perform the derivative. Copy lang si e raised to negative 2t. Then get the derivative of cosine 2t. That will be negative sine 2t. Important yung parenthesis here, ano? Then multiply it with the derivative of 2t, which is 2. Plus, copy si cosine 2t. Then get the derivative of e raised to negative t. So, e raised to negative t times negative 1. So, that will give us e raised to negative t. May 2 pala dito. Then, also may negative. E raised to t times sine 2t plus or minus na cosine 2t e raised to negative t. That will be the answer. Then substitute it here. So 2e raised to 2t cosine, so wala na dito yung 2, mali pala yan. 2t minus 2 sine 2t e raised to negative 2t. Hindi pa pala siya magkakamuka. E negative 2 e raised to negative t sine 2t minus e raised to negative t cosine 2t. This will be dy over dt natin, dx. But to get the slope of this function, we are going to evaluate our dy over dt such that t is equal to 0. So we will have e raised to negative 2 times 0 cosine 2 times 0 minus 2 sine 2 times 0 e raised to negative 2 times 0 over negative 2e raised to negative 0 sine 2 times 0 minus e raised to negative 0 cosine 2 times 0. If we are going to evaluate this one, what we're going to get is negative 2. But another option, before we substitute it here, pwede naman na i-evaluate na natin right away this one. Ano, kadun lang din sa ginawa. So, if we were going to substitute our t in this dy over dt, we will get dy over dt equal to 2. Then our dx over dt naman is simply equal to negative 1. So, since dy over dt is 2, so 2 to, then dx over dt is negative 1. That's why we will have our answer na negative 2. So, either way, we will arrive with the same slope, which is negative 2. Okay? Bali, just like our ordinary functions, we can also get the higher order derivative of parametric equation, that is higher order parametric differentiation. So we all know that the first derivative of our parametric equation is given by dy over dx divided by dx over dt. But in order to get the second derivative of our parametric equation, so we can obtain that by getting the derivative of the first derivative, then divide it by dx over dt. And that's it. That is possible because the first derivative is also with respect to time. So to get the second derivative, that's simply getting the derivative of the first derivative with respect to time, then divide it by dx over dt. Then, to get the third derivative of our parametric equation, we're just going to get the derivative of the second derivative with respect to time, then divide it by dx over dt. So, si dx over dt is as is lang siya as the denominator. Pero, as we succeed in our higher order derivative, kailangan natin i-differentiate yung result nung naunang differentiation process. So, for the second derivative, ulitin lang natin, yung numerator is the derivative of the first derivative with respect to t. Then, the numerator of the third derivative is the derivative of the second derivative with respect to time. So, kung may fourth derivative pa tayo, the numerator of the fourth derivative should be the derivative of the third derivative, and that should be divided by dx over dt. So, I hope na nasusundan siya. Yung process ng parametric differentiation. So, let's apply that concept dito sa problem na to. So, for this problem, the curve given by x is equal to square root of t and y is equal to 1/4 times t squared minus 4, that is for t is greater than or equal to 0. We're going to find the slope and the concavity at points 2, 3. So, we all know that slope is dy over dx, while concavity from our previous topic is the second derivative, or d squared x or d squared y over dx squared. So, start tayo sa pagkuha ng value ng slope, or pagkuha ng slope, or the dy over dx. So, to get dy over dx, we should get dy over dt. So, what is dy over dt? That is simply d over dx, or d over dt rather, of 1/4 of t squared minus 4. And that would be 1/4 of 2t minus 0. Or to simplify that, that will be t over 2. While our dx over dt, which is napaka-importante kapag higher order derivatives kasi lagi lang siyang magiging denominator. So that will be d over dt of square root of t. Or that will be d over dt of t raised to 1/2. And the derivative of t raised to 1/2 is equal to 1/2 times t raised to negative 1/2, or simply that will be 1/2t raised to 1/2. So to get dy over dx, substitute lang. This is 2t over 2 over 2 times t raised to t over 2 over 1 over 2t raised to 1/2. We can simplify this one. Ga-cancel si 1/2. Then, aangat dito si t raised to 1/2. That will become t times t raised to 1/2, or simply t raised to 3 halves. That will be our dy over dt. Sorry, that will be dy over dx rather. Namamali tayo. So, ito rin yung gagamitin natin to compute for the slope. Pero mamaya na natin computing yung slope. Kasi to compute for the slope, we shall evaluate t raised to 3 halves to t is equal to something. Kaso hindi pa natin na-define ano yung value of t for the given point 2, 3. So, proceed muna tayo sa equation na gagamitin natin for the concavity. Bali, concavity is defined as the second derivative. So, kailangan natin makuha si second derivative. At sa second derivative, that is simply the derivative of our first derivative divided by dx over dt. Yung denominator, meron na tayo dyan kasi right away, that is just 1 over 2t raised to 1 half. But what will be our numerator? So, for our numerator, we will differentiate our first derivative. So, that will be d over dt equals sa d over dt of what? Of the first derivative, which is t raised to 3 halves. And the derivative of 3 halves is simply equal to 3 halves times t raised to 3 halves minus 1. And 3 halves minus 1 is 1 half. So, plug in natin siya dito. 3 halves times t raised to 1 half. So, this will become 3 over 2 t raised to 1 half times 2 t raised to 1 half. Cancel si 2 here. That will become 3t. Add si 1 half. That will give us simply 1. So, our second derivative will be equal to 3t. Pero, since ang nahanap dito ay yung value ng slope at concavity, kailangan natin ma-evaluate si first and second derivative sa t is equal to something that will match 2 and 3. So, going back here, identify natin yung t that will satisfy both condition. So, 2 is equal to square root of t and 3 is equal to 1 over 3 t squared minus 4. So, solving for this one, so t ay masosolve natin by squaring both sides. So, 2 squared is equal to t and 2 squared is 4 is equal to t. So, possibly, ang t natin should be 4. Pero, we must verify it with this one. So, substitute natin si 4 here. 1 over 3 times 4 squared minus 4. At dapat yung sagot dito ay 3. Para masabi natin na totoo that t is equal to 4 if x is equal to 2 and y is equal to 3. 4 squared is 16. 4 squared is 16 minus 4 is 12 divided by 3. Divided by 4 rather, yan. Divided by 4 pala, sorry. I'm sorry, na mali tuloy. Divided by 4. Kaya sabi ko, ba't mali? So, divided by 4, give us 3. So, tama na 3. So, RT should be equal to 4. Since t equal to 4 satisfies that x is equal to 2 and y is equal to 3, we can now evaluate the value of our slope. So, to evaluate the value of slope, just substitute 4 sa t raised to 2/3. So, that's 4 raised to 3 halves pala. 3 halves, sorry. 3 halves. And 4 raised to 3 halves is 8. So, the slope of our function is 8. Given by this one. Ito yan, slope. Ay, sorry, hindi nag-line. then our concavity is equal to 3 times 4 or 12. So the concavity is 12, which is greater than 0 or positive yung ating second derivative. That tells us that for the given point up to this one sa start ng ating parametric equation is that it opens upwards. So ayun. So nagamit natin yung concept ng slope and concavity, which is the first and second derivative, as well the parametric differentiation. In the higher order, parametric differentiation. So I hope meron na intindihan dito sa topic na to, even though this is discussed online or asynchronously. If we will have time, I will try to discuss some sample problems about these topics. Thank you for watching. For this problem, we're going to find the slope of x is equal to t squared plus e raised to t and y is equal to t plus e raised to t at point 1, 1. 1, is x. So x and y. So to get the slope, that will be dy over dx, which is equal to dy over dt over dx over dt. So let's get the value of dy over dt natin. So dy over dt is just d over dt of t plus e raised to t. What is the derivative of t? That is simply 1, and the derivative of e raised to t is e raised to t. Then dx over dt rather is d over dt of t squared. And the derivative of t squared with respect to t is simply t squared plus e raised to t pala to. So that will be 2t plus e raised to t. So substituting dy over dt, we will have 1 plus e raised to t, then 2t plus e raised to t. This will be our dy over dx. But the problem is, we are asked to get the slope. So we shall evaluate this with t is equal to what? Kaso hindi natin alam yung t. Kasi ang binigay sa atin is x and y. So x is equal to 1 and y is equal to 1 as well. So kailangan muna natin makuha yung Kailangan natin makuha yung t para malaman natin kung ano yung substitute natin dito. Kasi yung dy over dx naman is in terms of t and not in terms of x and y. Therefore, we should locate for the value of t. So, paano natin makukuha yung t? But given that we know y and x, which is also both 1, so x is equal to 1, which is equal to t squared plus e raised to t. While y is equal to 1 as well, which is equal to t plus e raised to t. So we can solve for the value of t. So how can we get that? So pwede yata tayo magganito. So add natin yung dalawang yan, or subtract pala. Minus 1 is equal to t plus e raised to t. Pwede ba to? So 1 minus 1 is 0. Then t squared minus t. E raised to t minus e raised to t is 0. So solving for the value of rt. So 0 is equal to t squared minus t. So common ct. So we will have t minus 1. So t is equal to 0 and t is equal to 1. Bali, let's check if which of this value of t will satisfy our condition. So, pag sinubstitute ba natin dito si 0, tama ba na t na 0, makukuha ba natin that x is 1? So, x is equal to 0 squared plus e raised to 0. X is equal to, this one is 0, but e raised to 0 is 1. So, x is equal to 1. That satisfies our condition that x should be 1 if t is equal to 0. Then how about y? Y is equal to 0 plus e raised to 0, where e raised to 0 is 1 as well. So, okay that t is equal to 0. So, pwedeng t should be equal to 0. Kaso meron pa tayo ditong nakita that t could be also equal to 1. Pwede kaya talaga siya? So, x is equal to 1 squared plus e raised to 1. But, e raised to 1 is what? Saglit lang try ko lang sa calculator ko. E raised to 1. E raised to 1 is 2.78 plus 1. So, x is equal to 3.718, which is not equal to what we're expecting. Ano doon sa x value na dapat na meron tayo. So, most probably, the value of t that will satisfy our condition is t is equal to 0. Since t is equal to 0 will work with x and y natin, so we can, or the corresponding t for point 1, 1 is actually equal to 0. So we can now get the slope of our function at x at 1, 1. So substituting t in our dy over dx, we will have 1 plus e raised to 0 over 2 plus e raised to 0. So that will be 1 over 2. Ba't ganun? Sorry. So what happened? Ah, 2t pala to. Sorry, 2t plus e. So this will be 1 plus 1 plus e raised to 0 is 1. Then 2 times 0 plus e raised to 0. So that will be 1 plus 1 is 2 divided by 0 plus 1. So dy over dx, or the slope of our function at 1, 1 is equal to 2. That will be our answer. So that's all for this one. For your practice about this topic, kindly find dy over dx and the second derivative of the parametric equation x is equal to t raised to 3 plus t, and y is equal to t raised to 7 plus t plus 1. So take time to solve this problem and I will give you the answer. So kung hindi nyo pa nasagot, wag muna ituloy yung video na to, i-pause muna para ma-solve nyo on your own. Then after that, check if you got the correct answer. So dy over dx is equal to 7 t raised to 6 plus 1 over 3t squared plus 1. While our second derivative is equal to 6t times 14t6 plus 7t raised to 4 minus 1 all over 3t squared plus 1 raised to 3. So this will be our answers for this particular problem. I hope that you were able to obtain this correct answers. By if not naman, kindly go back then sa ating discussion and try to resolve if you will be able to solve this problem. So thank you for watching this parametric differentiation. And if you're done watching this one, kindly watch our next topic, which is the partial differentiation. And after watching partial differentiation, kindly solve our assignment number 10 about parametric differentiation and partial differentiation. And if you're done with that, get ready with our final examination is scheduled this last week of November. And hopefully that you will able to pass that examination as well this subject, so that you can proceed with our integral calculus and physics 2, because for you to take those two subjects, you must successfully pass calculus 1 or differential calculus.